My friends, why do narcissists discard people? You ask this as if you were trying to understand the end of a story, the final chapter of a relationship. Let me tell you, with the cold, immutable clarity of a law of physics, you are witnessing not an ending, but a function. The discard is not a breakdown of the relationship. It is the final, successful, and intended execution of the program. You are not grieving the death of a connection. You are standing in the silence that follows the shutdown of a machine whose purpose has been served. To believe the narcissist leaves you is to grant them a human motive they do not possess. They do not leave. They dispose. They do not break up. They liquidate an asset that has ceased to be profitable. You must surgically excise from your mind the entire vocabulary of human heartbreak, loss, ending, separation, and replace it with the cold, sterile lexicon of corporate asset management. You were not a partner. You were a resource. You were not a lover. You were a project. And the discard is not a tragedy for them. It is the project's completion, the closing of a file, the final signature on a successful acquisition and liquidation. The entire relationship was a mining operation, and your soul was the territory. They came, they surveyed, they drilled, they extracted every ounce of precious ore, your love, your empathy, your energy, your sanity, and when the mine was stripped, when the cost of extraction began to outweigh the profit, they simply packed up their equipment, detonated the entrance to seal you in, and moved on to the next untouched landscape. The chilling, brutal truth is that their departure is not a rejection of you. It is a testament to their efficiency. The discard is the ultimate sign that, from their predatory perspective, their work with you is done. Let us dissect the cold, hard triggers for this final act of disposal, for it is never a spontaneous event, but a calculated decision based on a ruthless cost-benefit analysis. The primary catalyst, the most common reason, is that you have simply been depleted. You, the once vibrant, inexhaustible source of narcissistic supply, have run dry. Your capacity for adoration is exhausted. Your emotional reactions, which once were a potent drug, have become predictable and weak. Your anger no longer provides the same thrill. Your tears no longer offer the same satisfying confirmation of their power. You are emotionally anemic, spiritually bankrupt, a ghost haunting the halls of the life they plundered. You have become, in their cold eyes, boring. A depleted mine offers no profit, and a boring toy is no longer fun. Simultaneously, and almost always preceding the discard, they have secured a new superior source of supply. The narcissist is a perpetual, insatiable consumer, forever window shopping for their next acquisition. They do not leave one host until a new, more promising host has been identified and groomed. This new person offers the intoxicating, high-grade fuel that you can no longer provide. The thrill of the hunt, the high of the initial conquest, the boundless admiration of someone who has not yet seen the mask slip. They will be in the midst of love-bombing this new target while they are still in the final stages of devaluing you, running two operations in parallel with the detached efficiency of a logistics manager. Your discard is timed precisely for the moment the new asset is fully secured. But perhaps the most dangerous trigger for the discard is when you, the victim, begin to awaken. You start setting boundaries. You begin to question their narrative. You hold up a mirror that no longer reflects their grandiose image, but instead shows a flicker of their true, flawed self. You stop apologizing. You say no. A boundary, to a narcissist, is not a request for respect. It is a declaration of war. It is an act of rebellion that signals you are no longer a compliant object, but a sovereign entity. This is an existential threat. A tool that develops a will of its own is defective and dangerous. It must be disposed of before it can expose the user's fraudulence. Your emerging health is perceived as a terminal sickness in the relationship dynamic. Your sanity is a threat to their insanity. In this moment, they must discard you, not just because you are no longer useful, but because you have become a liability, a witness who knows too much. And finally, they discard you out of pure, unadulterated contempt. As they have devalued and broken you, they have come to despise you for the very weakness they have engineered. They look at you, the trembling, confused, heartbroken shell of the person you once were, and they are filled not with pity, but with disgust. They hate you for allowing them to do this to you. Your broken state is a nauseating reflection of their own abusive nature, and they must get away from that reflection at all costs. They break the mirror, and then blame it for being shattered. The mechanics of the discard itself are a masterclass in psychological terrorism, designed to inflict maximum damage and ensure their own clean getaway. It will almost always be abrupt, cold, and devoid of closure. This is deliberate. You will be ghosted, blocked on all platforms, or sent a single, chillingly indifferent text message. They vanish from your life as if they were a phantom who was never really there. This sudden amputation serves a critical purpose. It denies you a final confrontation. It prevents you from asking questions, from presenting evidence, from demanding accountability. Closure requires empathy, respect, and a shared reality. Three things the narcissist is incapable of offering. The silence, the vanishing act, is their final triumphant assertion of power and control. It leaves you suspended in a state of agonizing confusion, endlessly replaying the final days and weeks, torturing yourself with the question, what did I do wrong? This is their parting gift to you, a prison of unanswered questions that keeps you psychically tethered to them long after they are gone. Immediately following this disappearance, the smear campaign begins in earnest. They must control the narrative. They must get their version of the story out first, casting themselves as the tragic victim of your instability, your abuse, your coldness. They will run to your mutual friends, your family, with a performance of such heartbreaking sorrow and noble suffering that they will recruit an army of supporters. They will weaponize your most private secrets, twist your words, and project their own pathologies onto you until your reputation is left in tatters. This is not just petty revenge, it is a crucial survival tactic. By painting you as the villain, they preemptively discredit you, should you ever try to expose them. They garner sympathy and fresh supply from their audience, and most importantly, they reinforce their own fragile delusion that they are, and always have been, the good one. The entire process is marked by a chilling, almost alien lack of empathy. As you are reeling in what feels like the most profound pain of your life, they are feeling nothing. Or worse, they are feeling a sense of relief, of liberation, of victory. They are busy installing their new appliance, enjoying the initial thrill of a new conquest. Your agony is as irrelevant to them as the static from a disconnected radio. You are grieving the death of a soulmate. They are clearing out a cluttered garage to make room for a new car. And so, my friends, you must reframe this experience. The discard is not a judgment on your worth. It is a graduation. It is a forced, painful, but ultimately liberating expulsion from a toxic cult of one. It is the moment the parasite detaches, not because the host is unworthy, but because the host has begun to develop an immunity, because the environment is no longer hospitable for its parasitic existence. The discard, in its profound cruelty, is the ultimate, backhanded confirmation of your returning health. It is the sign that your own inner light, though dimmed and flickering, has begun to shine on its own again, and the narcissist, a creature of darkness, cannot bear the pain of this independent light. They must flee from it. They did not leave you. You, through your slow, painful dawning awareness, began to outgrow them. They are a caterpillar, and you are becoming a butterfly, and their world is too small to contain your wings. Grieve the illusion. Grieve the dream you invested in. Grieve the years you lost to the mirage. But do not grieve the loss of the narcissist, for you cannot lose something you never truly had. The discard is not your ending. It is the end of their story with you. It is the painful, brutal, but glorious beginning of your own. A story that begins with the deafening silence of their absence. A silence in which, for the first time in a very long time, you can finally begin to hear yourself again. And that is the sound of true freedom.